Anthony Melchiori, great to see you today on a Thursday.
That doesn't have the energy it usually has, Glenn, but I'll let you go.
All right, I'll try to do better next time. Hopefully, everybody, I won't disappoint you.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
You know where I'm going today, Glenn?
Where are you going today, Anthony?
And I'm not kidding. I'm going to Best Buy.
Are you really?
Yeah, I have to get a couple things.
That's really funny. I happened to stop by there last night. Speaking of Best Buy, hey guys, did you know they're not just for consumers? Best Buy Business is the leader in providing technology solutions for hotels. Because they got that Geek Squad, they can install stuff for you. They can take all of your old stuff away, all of that great stuff. Check them out at bestbuy.com/hospitality.
Hey, can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Best Buy Business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because people think about retail and they think about their home, but they don't think about business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that I'm glad that we're talking about it. I'm glad that they're talking about it. Because it just makes perfect sense. I mean, it's something that we should always think about, that the company that we're used to, the company that is comfortable for us, the company we're used to going to, they're still in business through all the problems, through all the retail problems that people have had, with all the competition they had. They're still in business. That's a big deal.
They are. Let me tell you something. For those of you who don't know, the former CEO, I believe he's now on the board or chairman of the board, Hubert Joly, actually used to run what was called Carlson back in the day. So he was a hotelier that moved over to Best Buy and totally reinvigorated the stores, even though the big box stores were up against the ropes. And I think they've done a great job.
You know, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a great executive. I really liked him, but I kind of feel like I'm cheating by talking about that, because we've got John Lancaster back from Choice Hotels today. So let's focus on giving them a little.
You know what? That's a good choice.
It is. Speaking of good choices, they're opening up a brand new Cambria Suites today. They got the ceremony going on in St. Pete, Florida, and that is right behind me right there, or at least an artist rendering of what it's going to look like. I should be so lucky to be in Florida right now with the gorgeous sunset behind me. I'm also going to be doing an interview with Janice Cannon a little bit later today, and she's going to be on my No Vacancy News Today show tomorrow for a short interview, and hopefully we'll get her back for a full-length interview here on No Vacancy Live. Yes,
you know what's interesting is I have one of my clients is looking at a hotel in St. Petersburg. So I like to know what the area is like. And it's apparently parts of it is gentrifying. And so it's interesting to see a beautiful hotel right there. I wonder how close it is to the stadium.
I don't know. Maybe John will know, but I don't want to put him on the spot. We've got some people. Colleen, welcome back.
Colleen, we talked about you yesterday.
Yes.
We're like, where the hell is Colleen? We were giving a shout out to all our favorites, and you're sorry, Maritza and everybody else, but Colleen's been here for a long time, so she's our favorite. Sorry.
Yes, we hope you're feeling healthy and are doing well at home. Just know that we've been thinking about you, and we're so happy
talking about you.
Yes,
and telling lies about you.
lots of lies. All right. So for those of you who caught our show with John Lancaster a few weeks back, he was struggling with technology and stuff. And because of it, we really didn't get into all of the things that we wanted to discuss. And coincidentally, they have some more news to share today. So what do you say? Should we bring him back in?
That's a good choice.
That is a good choice. Yes, we've got a lot of choice humor today for you, John. I hope you can handle it.
I appreciate the choice humor, and
I do. And of course, the way everything goes, John, is your picture, I understand, was crystal clear for the last half hour. Of course, now you're looking a little bit fuzzy, but hey, that's what.
John, I want to let you know. You being a weightlifter and everything, I went into my garage after where I work out now after our last conversation, and I tried to lift. I think your record, you said it was 1,200 pounds or some ridiculous number you want to lift.
Right.
So I tried to lift just 1,000 pounds. Okay. So I got my jack from my car and it worked.
That's fantastic the way you did. Yeah, that's awesome, Anthony. Well,
I wanted my back and the rest of my body to be intact, so I just used the jack. But anyway, so I remember I probably tell 12 people that conversation we had of how much you can deadlift. But anyway, welcome back. It's good to see you. So what do you know about St. Petersburg? Anything?
Just a little bit about St. Petersburg. I know we have the great new Cambria that's coming out, but not too sure how far away from the stadium that property is.
That means you must guys be high on it, and that's kind of what I'm telling my. Right now, we identified St. Petersburg as being an up and coming town, and you putting a suite there proves it.
Without question, St. Petersburg is definitely up and coming, and to have our flagship property of Cambria that's there and upscale and moving forward to opening today, we're actually really excited about that. So as you can see, and as you mentioned earlier, Janice Cannon will be there at that grand opening. That's how great she is. She's the senior vice president of upscale for Choice.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to being able to talk with her in a little bit later. And Anthony, you were talking about people moving down to that area as well. A couple of our close friends just moved to Sarasota a couple of months back. So they keep sending us notes about how happy they are in the warm weather of Florida while the temperature is starting to get a lot worse.
There must be something with warm weather and old people, because as I'm getting older, and you can really tell at my age when I'm wearing my beard, and I want warm weather. It's like I went out this morning and I left the heater in my garage, not a big heater, on all night. Hopefully I'll get in my garage and it'll be a little bit better. And it was kind of cold. So I'm ready for some warm weather. So I think next 2 years, the Melchiori family may be owning a home in Florida, at least for 6 months a year.
Oh, that's beautiful as well. And out here in Arizona as well, in Phoenix, and mentioning being outside, I actually had through COVID, I had my first Thanksgiving outside. So there were about 15 family members, of course, socially distanced from the tables. And we went to get the food on the inside and sat outside and ate. We had a fire, had some great s'mores. We roasted a couple of turkey legs on there.
Nice.
So,
it's actually getting cool enough now to hang out outside. I was down in Phoenix in September doing a job for another hotel company, and it was so crazy hot, I couldn't really enjoy myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were there when it was 117 degrees. And
that's exactly right.
Fried egg on the sidewalk. So
that's exactly right. All right, so for those of you who don't remember, John Lancaster really helps with emerging markets. And emerging markets doesn't mean third world countries coming to first world countries. It means creating ownership opportunities for groups that have been traditionally underrepresented in the hospitality industry. That could mean folks that have served our nation and are currently veterans. It could mean folks within minority communities. It could mean a lot of different things. So, John, welcome back. We look forward to really getting into a good conversation with you on this issue. So tell me a little bit about what is new since the last time we spoke last month. I understand you've got some new news for us, right?
I actually do, and I appreciate the introduction and the emerging markets explanation. Year to date, for the last 15 years, we actually have awarded 250 franchises to underrepresented minorities.
Wow.
And this year alone, we have awarded 22 new underrepresented minorities franchises year to date. Last year, we had 34, but we are still working towards trying to do that. So as the whole industry is down from a development standpoint, it's down just a tad bit. But
I mean, that is crazy, John. I mean, if you really think about it, 22 versus 34, that's not really a huge drop when considering the challenges that we've been through in the last 8 months in the hospitality business.
Yes, and that's correct. And I think the momentum that we have to as a catalyst and the accretion to move the underrepresented minority franchises forward is great, and it's still chugging along. And with that being said, Choice has a long-standing history of diversity. It starts from our board all the way down to our associates. About 15 years ago on our board, Barbara Brainham, when she was on the board, actually started our diversity committee. And it filters all the way down to the employees and us there at Choice. So what I'd like to introduce, in addition to our emerging markets program, I don't know if you can see my title, but it's emerging markets regional vice president of development and of owner relations. So what I'd like to announce is that we have started and reinstituted our Choice Hotel Owners African American Alliance.
Oh, sweet.
So this is a council, and it further underscores our commitment to strengthen representation, support, and advocacy for our Black and African American hoteliers. Our goal is to provide an ongoing forum for Black and African American franchisees to engage directly with Choice Leadership and Emerging Markets team in the development and execution of these key initiatives. Now, some of the defining objectives that we have at CHOA, they include ensuring that all Black and African Americans are fully engaged in all benefits associated with owning Choice hotels. Also, incorporating Black and African American owners, hotel employees, and vendors into our Choice Hotel system. Collaborating and recognizing the importance of Black and African Americans in the overall success of the company. Complementing the existing enterprise-wide directive and return on investment of Choice diversity and inclusion efforts. So we're excited to have this off the ground and look forward to it flourishing and moving forward. Again, from Choice Hotels having a one-of-a-kind emerging markets program where we have a dedicated department going out to get underrepresented minorities, this confirms and puts another pillar in Choice that our Hotel Owners Association, in which we nickname it CHOA, will be a force to be reckoned with and a force to be improved upon and a force to create more opportunities for underrepresented minorities in Choice.
Wow, that is really good news to hear. So practically speaking, how is this program going to work? How do people get involved in the program, and what kind of voice are they actually going to have?
Great question. So getting involved in the program, we have 9 delegates that have started with us. The president of which being Bob Nesbitt. He actually has a Comfort Inn and Suites in Birmingham, Alabama. Our vice president is Fred Washington. So Fred Washington actually signed the largest emerging markets deal in Choice's history just in October. And all 6 of the properties that he signed actually are going to be in Florida, Anthony and Glenn. So you can go down there as well and take care of that.
Are they a mix of brands?
They are. They're Comfort Inn and Suites and Sleep Mainstays. So you have the opportunity to go to stay there as well.
Right.
So that.
So wait. I want to I just want to make sure people understand what you're saying. When you say Sleep Mainstay, and you're talking about dual branded properties, is that correct?
That is correct. The Sleep Mainstay dual properties just split with, right down the middle with the number of rooms.
I'll tell you what, we haven't talked about those properties at all, I don't think, Anthony, and since we've been doing this since COVID started. I love the idea of dual branded properties. So let me just give everybody a quick understanding of what they are. They've really come into the fore, and I say the last 5 years or so. Before that, they were kind of oddballs, but they work great, because if you don't have enough traditional drivers for transient business, and if you don't have enough traditional business for the extended stay property, you can put them in a single building, create economies of scale, only have one front desk, one back of house, all of those kinds of things, while also opening yourself up to 2 distinct markets for one building. They proved to be extremely successful, and a lot of the major hotel companies have tried to do this, but I've seen that your Sleep Mainstay product has found a lot of success in the market by bringing 2 great brands together that really help owners fill those rooms every night.
I was just in Vegas, and I'm driving by a big property that's opening there. I can't remember which one it was, and there was 3 different hotels on it, 3 different brands. And
yeah, there are a few tri-brands.
Could it have been Resorts World that they're going to have 3 brands within Resorts World? Could it have been that?
Yes. Resorts World is going to have 3 brands, and as you know, the Drew is going to have 3 brands, but those are a little bit different. When we're talking about the select service end of the business, that's more of the mainstream part of the business, or should I say?
It's just interesting. You're seeing more and more of that.
Right. I mean, if we want to talk Vegas, sorry, John, but if we want to talk Vegas, that dual branded thing goes all the way back. I think the first one, and guys, you could flame me if I'm wrong, I think it was the 4 Seasons when they built Mandalay Bay was the first time they went to have a distinct product in a Las Vegas casino resort. But John, back to you, sir.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. And with that being said, that the organization is going to have quarterly meetings with our leadership, filtering in towards TPAC, and talking about some of the issues that we have specifically, and learning more about these hotels. Specifically, there is a Comfort Suites actually in Suffolk, Virginia, and it is on a property that was purchased by a former slave in 1903.
Wow.
It's a gentleman by the name of William Crowdy, I apologize, that purchased it under the auspices of Church of God and Saints, which is his church. That purchase of those 40 acres has evolved into 387 acres. It's Bellevue Harbor, and it's right in Virginia, right outside of Hampton or Norfolk, Virginia, or Virginia Beach. And some of those properties that we have and some of those stories need to be told. And this is what we're going to do and focus in towards our upper management. We have a pipeline into our CEO. And we have actually also gone so far, and just to piggyback on that, we actually collaborated with MMGY Global worldwide to develop a series of market research about the Black and African American traveler. So just some of the findings that we have initially. Last year, Black travelers spent $109 billion in leisure travel. And that's about 13.1% of the market, according to U.S. and News and World Reports. That report also mentioned that Black meeting professionals indicated that 84% indicated that some destinations were more welcome than others for minorities.
Did you say 84%? Did you say 84%? They said 80. So the African American community said 84% of places they visited, they didn't feel comfortable. Basically, is that what I'm reading?
84% indicated that some of the destinations are more welcoming than others. So 42%, I will say, of their attendees have felt unwelcome in a destination in which they attended a meeting in the past.
Right. I'll be politically correct and said 84% didn't say they were comfortable, because if you're comfortable at some location but not at others 84% of times, that means you're not uncomfortable, and that's horrific. I would think the number would be high, but I didn't think it would be that high. I mean, that's incredible. Why do you think it's taken so long for our industry to really focus on this problem and focus on specifically the analysis you just said, and really put someone like yourself and others really to the point where, you're back on our show pretty quick, and we don't usually do that because we really want to talk about this. You guys really want to talk about this. You want to get, this message across. And I know this message isn't going to go away in 2 months or 3 months. You seem to be really focused on this, and this is really going to become rooted within the culture of choice. Why now?
Actually, this is building
up anything in the past. Not saying you haven't done it, but why now such a forceful approach?
Well, right now with the pandemic and with some of the social injustices and racial inequality that has happened, from the spring with George Floyd, with Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, in June, we wanted to say enough is enough, and let's move forward and let's make this happen. I mean, we even go so far, in addition to the MMGY Global, we are actually starting a program with HBCUs where we have an internship at select Cambrias that we will have a program. And this is not your normal internship. Hey, we have a front desk position open. Let's go in and fill that. It's a rotational internship program where they will go through management. They will go through front desk. They will go through housekeeping to move forward. And we're partnering with them, and we should roll that out in the spring. And this is something that Choice is tackling to engage our younger generation, to get them involved in hospitality, to get everybody. And this is why we don't have, so Choice started 15 years ago. If we take a look at, even yesterday, NASDAQ, went to the Securities and Exchange Commission and said that they want to make sure that they have at least one woman and one underrepresented minority on their board. And I believe it was 75% of the public companies didn't have that, if I'm not mistaken. So they're petitioning to do that. So this movement is moving us forward and making us a lot more aware and a lot more cognizant. And it's not something where we're just giving lip service. We are doing what we need to do to make this happen.
Right. Now, John, we got this comment from Laura Mandala that I just had on the screen. She said that in 2019, 15% of African-American travelers said they weren't planning to travel simply because of the fear of racial profiling. That is tragic.
It is, and I heard Ms. Mandela's the Mandela report, and I heard her speak at NABHOOD conference, and some of the statistics that she mentioned were absolutely horrific as well, and saying that they didn't want to travel because of that, and that's something we have to change. It needs to change, and choices again has been at the forefront of this 15 years ago and moving forward. Our board is very diverse as well, and has been so for 15 to 20 years. So if we can still create that movement and everybody gets on board to move forward, we're happy, we'll be happier, we'll be fully engaged, and we'll be an inclusive community.
Right. All right. So I want to bring up this comment again. A friend of the show, Kel. It's like the boom to the queer market back in the 1990s. We go where we feel culturally comfortable and personally safe. And there's a massive revenue opportunity there. Absolutely right. If you look at the LGBTQ market, they've really done. Hoteliers have really done a great job of creating properties that are geared specifically towards those people. I believe, I don't know if they have it now because of COVID, but Excalibur in Las Vegas would have, gay events and stuff like that. Really understanding why would you ignore a market that has so much disposable income, and it's the same thing with the African American community. Anthony,
it's interesting. I did a show in Hawaii where it was a gay-only hotel, and there were 7 hotels. 3 years prior, within 3 years, there was only one gay hotel, and what we found out was that the gay community didn't want to go to gay hotels. They just wanted to be comfortable the hotel they should choose. So if they choose a hotel, they just want to be comfortable in that hotel. So yeah, it's great to have the camaraderie. It's great to be in an environment you feel safe. But what we found was they wanted to be safe where they choose to stay. Why should they have to go to a hotel to feel safe and say, okay, it's going to be a gay-friendly hotel? And honestly, me and my producers, we just loved that hotel. And we said it was probably the best resort and the best people we've ever worked with. And I said, let's stop. I said, and I remember saying this. I said, you want the gay dollar? You want all the dollars? He goes, I want all the dollars. I said, so you're a safe place, right? I said, but I don't feel safe coming here if it just says gay, 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 gay on the marketing, because it's like, you're not going to want me and my kids here. So stop doing that and you'll get more dollars. And he stopped doing that and he got more dollars, and it was inclusive. Why do we have to have a gay hotel or an African American hotel? Why can't we just have a hotel where all African Americans feel safe to go? And that really, 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 I remember that show changed everything for me, because I got real angry that, it's great to have a safe haven and people feel safe, but why do we have to have that? People should just feel safe.
I think, honestly, and John, I'd love to hear what you have to say. I feel there's room for both of those. One, it's important that everybody feels comfortable. What?
Out of want, not out of need.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get to. Right. There should be space for both, not because I feel forced to go to a hotel that caters to whoever my specifics are as an individual, but because I want to have that particular experience, right? But I should be able to feel free to go absolutely everywhere. So, John, let's bring this back to the African-American community, since we were talking about that. Do you think African-American or Black travelers would be interested in going to places owned by people in their community specifically over other places?
I don't think specifically over others, but would they enjoy going and knowing that there is an African-American that owns it? Without question. Right. I believe so. And we have room in our whole world and whole society to make everyone, as we do a choice, feel welcome, wanted, and respected. We have over 11 CRGs at Choice, which includes actually the LGBTQ community. I know Anthony mentioned it, and we've gotten a 100% score from the Human Rights Campaign.
Awesome.
8 years running for that from the LGBT community. We have our CEO was voted one of the best CEOs for women in the industry.
Wow.
We also, and those 11 CRGs range from Asian American hoteliers, African American hoteliers, Adelante, which is our Latin American hoteliers, our Valor for veterans. And we want to make sure everybody is included.
Do you have one for bald veterans?
We do, specifically for you and my dad. And I'll put you guys right there at the forefront.
So I remember, last year I went to the African American Museum in Washington. Changed me. I just literally couldn't get me out of the museum. I was just completely dumbfounded how much history they don't teach in schools.
Oh,
and
right. You got that
literally,
right.
I was breathless when I came out of there. I remember it. Why not, like Xena has a hotel in Washington that's focused on the history of women? What hotel in America, if any, has a hotel that's focused on the history of African Americans? Is there one? And if not, Choice should be the first ones to do it.
Yes, they should. I know there are several brands that are out there that focus on that. I think there is Homage that may have an opportunity to do that. It's a gentleman by the name of Damon Lawrence out of California. And Kristen Kitchen, actually in Florida, right outside of Miami, had a hotel as well, catering towards that. So I think we see some momentum moving forward with that. So some of your hotels there. And if you think about even from North Carolina all the way down to Florida, the Gullah Geechee corridor, which a lot of people, walk through and they're interested in. And the Gullah Geechee corridor, if you don't know what that is, that's from where Africa, a lot of people, of the slaves from West Africa came and they settled in some of those seaport areas. Excellent.
So, what are you most excited about right now in your new role here?
What I'm most excited about, and Anthony mentioned the African American Museum. One of our actually hotel owners, he owns the Clarion down in Atlanta. It's Russell Construction, who actually helped build that African American Museum. When I can tie things like that and take it back to the African American community and where they came from, it gives me goosebumps and it makes me feel good. The momentum that we have with standing from rooftops and telling underrepresented minorities and knowing that they can own, and them seeing examples of other people own, younger people seeing examples of other African Americans, other veterans, other
right.
Latin hotel Americans own, is a harbinger for their success. And that's what excites me, giving back and to make sure we have an opportunity to move forward.
Anthony, you're getting emotional.
I'll be honest with you. When you just got so excited and you kind of spread up to the camera, I thought about being on like the defensive line against your line, and I got real scared.
Yeah, you would do that. I was actually a linebacker, so I know. I think Glenn mentioned, one of my helmet or my trophy earlier. I got inducted into my high school football Hall of Fame.
Awesome.
I know it's not a big deal.
It is a big deal. Congratulations.
It's a huge deal. That's a huge deal. I remember when I got, I was a famous alumni in my high school thing, and I told everyone, there's a lot of things that have happened in my career, a lot of awards I've gotten, but when I got that, I still put that up as the number one. You know why? Because none of my friends did. Because we still compete with, actually, that's not true. Randy Amster actually is up there too. But he got it because of his brain. But anyway, so yeah, when you did that, I was just like, okay, I would not want to line up against him. Now I know why.
Well, sadly, I was put into the Hall of Shame for my high school there, so I try not to talk about that too much. But one of
the things I love seeing is, listen, you work for a brand, and there are talking points that you have to say, and there are things that you have to get out there, and you have to really make sure that people understand that Choice is serious about this. The moment, I'll tell you, the whole time you spoke, I'll tell you the moment that I took you real serious. Not that I didn't take you serious before, is when your eyes sparkled, when your eyes were like when you said what you just said, like it looked like you would do anything in the world to make that happen, and so I couldn't imagine anyone better in your position with that passion and that enthusiasm. It's like, Glenn asks me all the time, why do you want to open a hotel again? And I go off. It's palpable when you're around me when I'm opening a hotel. I just get crazy excited. So when people are excited, things happen. So I believe everything you're saying, and I know you're the right person in the position to make sure that you push through, because it is an important issue. It is an issue that we shouldn't have to talk about, hopefully in 10 years. It shouldn't be, it should never have to be talked about again. It should just be that nobody on earth feels unsafe in going to a hotel because of the color of their skin. It's absolutely insane.
Fantastic. And yes, and I'm quite ebullient about that. And that's something that you can see and that I'm passionate about. And I will never let up. I will keep my foot on the gas the whole time. You know, that being said, even with the pandemic looming and you're thinking and you're focusing, you know, some things are a little challenging. And I think you had Dr. Berman on, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of days ago, talking about mental health and making sure that your mental health is taken care of. So that's something that I actually, you know, just started doing recently with the pandemic happened. So some transcendental meditation, reading a book called The Tools of the Titans. And many of those Titans who are, you know, big wigs in their specific industries, they do a lot of meditation. So every morning now, as I'm walking, as I'm outside, I take that 15 or 20 minutes just to think about nothing and just to retool and to move forward. So
how do you, all right, first, great use of the word ebullient. First time anyone's pulled that one out on the show. So you win an award for that. Secondly, how do you quiet down, right? How do you keep all of those hamsters from running in your brain so you could actually find that peace?
Especially when you see the injustices you see, the names you've mentioned before. Like, those are the moments where you probably need the most meditation. How do you do that? How do you keep yourself from getting really pissed off?
Yeah, it is. And you do need that mental health day. And actually, Choice did something as well. And I took great advantage of them. After this happened, they instituted that everyone has an opportunity to take a wellness day or a mental health day or an activist day of something that you like to do. The way that I quiet down is, I'm not sure if you're familiar with transcendental meditation, but it's focusing on nature.
Sure.
I'll go inside of a forest and just look at the tree and talk about nature, look at nature and just listen and just be thankful for some of the things we have, but also be very cognizant of what some of the steps that we need to take to move forward. So in those moments of clarity, I have the opportunity to figure out and ruminate on those issues. And that conundrum of an idea gets moved forward from that standpoint. It's sort of like in the Inception moment. If you remember that movie, it's Inception. And that's when you think, and that's when you have the opportunity and clarity of mind to get things going.
Yeah, I look. There's a picture of that Glenn sent me with him in nature, and I look at that one. I just look at Glenn in nature. I completely forget about everything else.
That's what I do like. I really love being outside, and I love being in nature. And being confined in this house for the last 8 months is starting to make me go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Even though I've got the most amazing park over there.
Oh yeah, you need to get out and enjoy the beach while you're there, Glenn.
Oh, yeah, it's so funny because I live on Long Island, and you'd think I'd go to the beaches and stuff like that, but no, I don't ever go to the beaches. It's pathetic. They're 20 minutes from my house, and I don't ever go. I'd let Anthony do that for us.
But listen, I'm telling you, I live in a beach community, and if you live 4 blocks from the beach, a lot of those people don't even go. It's like most of the people that go are the people that live right on the block of the beach. I live 2 blocks from the beach, and I'm there all the time. But just to, like you said, John, just to kind of relax, I don't really go sit on the beach. After Sandy, my wife doesn't like going on the beach as much, so we sit by the pool. But I'm always there walking on the beach just to clear my head. And listen, we've talked about this to nauseum about how important it is, to really take care of yourself. I remember this morning. I was feeling it this morning, right as I was getting ready for this show. And something had happened, and I was just like, you know what? I don't know if I'm in the mood today. And as soon as I put on my suit and tie, and I was like, you know, I got other meetings. It's like I got in the mood today because of what I was able to do this morning as far as making myself relax and making myself forget about that thing that I was concerned about. And it's critical. So it's just so when you see people like Len or you or me or whoever you see on these Zoom calls or you see in person, every single person struggling right now because could you believe that it is December 2nd or December 3rd? December 2nd? December 3rd. And we just had the worst day in the history of COVID in this country.
More people died than in the terrorist attacks on 9/11.
What's that?
More people died yesterday than on the terrorist attacks on 9/11.
So think about that and all the racial injustice happening in this country right now and this year. It's so if you don't need a mental health break, if you don't need to talk to somebody, if you don't need to meditate, then whatever you do, put that in a pill and sell it because I want it.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. And you talk about 9/11 as well. And that was I take that into, moving forward to what we have the pandemic now. So I remember right before 9/11, sort of everybody, if you were there, remembers that. I was stuck in Mexico. Actually, I was in between positions and actually getting a position in West Orange. So I never thought that I was going to get back into the US. I was stuck in Mexico for about 10 days prior to being across. And what struck me in that moment, and I think about it all the time, the hotel that I was working at was in West Orange, New Jersey. And it was 1 block away from this area called the Highline Pavilion. And you could see the New York City skyline. Okay. When I stood on that bridge and looked at that skyline, I still get that feeling today of horrifying feeling. And it's the same thing with the pandemics. And a lot of I think about it the same way that a lot of our hoteliers go to work today. They are on the front line. Everybody who's working the front desk, everybody who's working housekeeping, they are in harm's way. And I just want to take my hats off and to applaud every single person at a hotel that is going into work. They are putting themselves in harm's way so that they can take care of other people.
Right. All right, John, I've got an extremely provocative question for you here that I really think cuts to what we're talking about. Kel says, do you find that the cultures of oppression are so pervasive that even in being so deliberately inclusive, you have to decolonize your own organization? Interesting use of a word there. My companies are predominantly diverse, and yet I still feel like we fall into practices, ways of thinking that are harmful. How do you handle that? It's one thing to hire diverse, another to truly retain and have your company be culturally different, truly just, but how do you do it, John?
That's a damn good question.
A damn good question.
I think we need
Cal,
to
one of the best
again.
questions we've ever had here on the show. I mean, really, I'm really interested to hear what you have to say to that one, John.
Right. That is a great question.
I don't know how to answer that one.
And you have to think about, there's some ways it's unconscious bias. Okay. If you think about unconscious bias and if you've grown up just with a specific race, a specific area, and you think back to that. So I'll give you a little bit of my background. I grew up in a predominantly all African-American neighborhood, African-American area. I did not have the opportunity to meet someone outside of my race until I was in high school.
Wow.
Okay. So you have to take a step back and to remember what you felt like and what happened the first time you met somebody who was not of your race. So those unconscious biases sometimes can lead to that. And it's something that Choice understands too. So Choice is actually implementing, some of those benchmarks and goals for hiring diversity to include that. So we have benchmarks of retaining and to promote underrepresented minority employees. So those are some of the things that we can do to try to, combat that. And I know it's cognizant and straightforward, and it's I guess easier said than done. But if we make sure it's done, then that's going to make everything that much better.
So let me ask you a question.
I know I didn't understand that question. I know I didn't,
No, John, I'm going to ask you a question that's personal since you brought it up. It's fascinating to me. I have a friend who also said the same thing. They didn't see a black person until, later in life, high school, I think they said. It's fascinating to me. So what was that like as a person growing up in an African-American community and you didn't see a white person until you were in high school? I mean, the anticipation of that, or was it just you saw so much on TV that it was normalized for you? What did that feel like, or what was that like?
Sure, it was actually normalized for me, and I actually grew up, with in a one-bedroom home with my mother, my grandmother, my aunt, my 3 cousins,
Wow.
and my uncle. So it was something in which we were a very close family, close-knit community. I never wanted for anything. I thought I was rich. I thought I had everything. We went to Virginia Beach once a year. Unfortunately, when we did stay in Virginia Beach, don't tell anybody, but there were about 6 or 7 of us in a room.
Oh,
No.
Yeah, but the first time you get to the high school and you did integrate,
Yeah.
I mean, what did that feel like?
That was something where it was actually awesome to me to have an opportunity to speak to someone outside of what I was used to. It's something where they were a normal person just like I was. It was nothing to me that was different than being around everybody else. They had another shade of color on them. There was nothing different for me. We all got along. We all talked. We all had similar backgrounds, even though not from where we were from, but we had similar backgrounds of upbringing. We had similar backgrounds of morals, similar backgrounds of ethics. So we all come together from those things, and it helped us move forward, and everyone fit right in.
It sounds like you were overdosed with love, and when you have all those people living together, and you have all those family members living together, and you're getting everything you need, like you said, you thought you were rich. It's because you were overdosed with love, and when you're overdosed with love, and your people around you share your same feelings, and they understand it's about love and putting love out there. It doesn't matter the color of your skin or who you love or where you live. It matters that your grandmother and your mother and your uncle, they all taught you right. And then you went out in the world and you spread the love. And that's what it's about. And hopefully we'll see more of that, whether it be through the program of choice or whether it be through other programs. But to hear, like, and again, I'm gonna get myself in trouble, but who cares? I hear, men my age who are white. It's hard to get a job as a middle-aged white man today because everybody's looking for a female African-American. I was like, how do you think they felt for the last 20 years when you were coming up in the business? I said, so we all got to share the burden. And so you're having that feeling, and I don't want anybody to have any of those feelings, but how do you think that everybody else feels? I always say, if you're a healthy white guy in this country and you can't make it, you're not paying attention.
Right. So, John, let me take that a step further. We were talking about that unconscious bias, and I think you tapped into something really interesting because there's a big chunk of people that don't believe in such a thing as unconscious bias. But as I've grown older, I've realized that it's a very real thing. We've raised a certain way. We just are taught to think a certain way, and not all people are able to go beyond what they've been taught and get past that. Can you get people to realize that there is unconscious bias occurring when they may not even realize it, or are defiant to say that such a thing doesn't exist?
Well, what I can say is that if you embrace all different cultures, embrace everyone, then maybe there is no unconscious bias that you have. But I believe there are some that have an unconscious bias, and you have to move forward to that. And if you can realize in certain circumstances, and maybe not voice it to everybody, but just understand it yourself, that, hey, in this certain situation, I did this. Why did I do that? Mm-hmm. In this situation, I did this. Why did I do that? What caused me to move this way? What caused me to take this step? And if people realize that internally, they'll know that, that's something that they have to work on and something that they have to focus on. Just embrace every culture, embrace everyone that's there, and it makes us for a well-liked, well-respected, wanted community.
Yes, Mike's got a great statement here. If hatred can be taught, love can be learned. Absolutely, man. I love that sentiment. So, yeah, Anthony.
I was going to say, there's a gentleman, I can't remember his name. I think he was on Joe Rogan, and he's an African American gentleman. He's a musician, and he's traveled all around this country. And he walked into a bar, and one gentleman walked out. He was a regular guest, and he said, "Hey, I'm not going to come back if that man plays in the bar," because he was an African American. He took that, and he went and he found out where he was. And where he was he was basically in KKK land. And so he then went on a journey during his, as he was playing, he went on and he found those people in the KKK and wanted to talk to them. And he actually transitioned a lot of people away from the KKK because he listened to them. He wanted to know, why are you afraid of me? Why don't you want me to be in your bar? And he literally became very close friends with a couple of members because they left and they denounced it. And wow. I found that fascinating, that he was willing to sit and talk to them in a real way. And when people say, why would you do that? It's because I wanted to know where their hatred comes from, because I don't understand that level of hatred. Like, I've not been taught that level of hatred. I don't understand it. I don't know where it comes from. And once you talk to them and they realize, we're all the same, they change. And I found that fascinating. And I can't read, he wrote a book, and I'll look it up and I'll share it, but it was fascinating.
Excellent. So, John, let's get back to your main job, right? And I want to talk a little bit about
just coming from the show, right? That's his job.
Hey, I can make it my job if you'd like me to.
I really do appreciate that we're tackling these issues that must be discussed, and we've been doing it for a while now on No Vacancy Live, and we will continue to do it in the future because it's so critical for all of us to be able to be honest and open with each other in order for all of us as Americans to get forward and find more success. And the key to finding more success is having great people like John in there that are helping create successes for people who may not have otherwise realized that there is opportunities for them. So, John, maybe go about how people could either learn from you the path to hotel ownership, and then on the other side, how you're going out to different communities to share the love there, to say that, hey, you can do this. You can be an entrepreneur. You can have your own business.
Great. Yeah, you can reach me on my LinkedIn profile as well, John Lancaster, or you can reach me at choicehotels.com/incentives, which are some incentives that we have for underrepresented minorities. We have key money that we actually give out. So that is actually $1,500 a key, up to $125,000 for comfort, up to $200,000 if you have the opportunity to buy a franchise at a Cambria franchise. Some of the ways in which I will be reaching out and looking for people, I attend NABHOOD every year. That is something that is a staple of choice. I attend LHA, Latin Hotel Owners Association, that I go to reach out. I attend the Native American Tribal Hotel and Casino Conference, which is actually coming up in March, that I have an opportunity to do. I participate in the National Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses, which is NABOB, which I will be reaching out as well. You can see me at many different panels. I actually just got finished speaking to an MBA group at Georgetown University, awesome. Speaking about hotel ownership. And I do that quite a lot at different high schools or different colleges, and happy to speak. And quite frankly, I'll do it if I'm sitting on public transportation and somebody's next to me and they strike up a conversation. We talk about hotel ownership. And it's something where once that seed is planted, you can grow. It doesn't matter if you have that fiscal capital now. It's the intellectual capital that you need to move forward. And you're able to buy a hotel. The same thing happened with Fred. I met him 5 years ago at NABHOOD conference. And it blossomed into, his 6 hotels that we have now.
Yeah, and that's an important thing. You got to keep these relationships going for a long time. And I think that's a larger lesson in life. Just because something doesn't happen right away doesn't mean it won't happen in the future. Could you do us a quick favor? There's a lot of folks on the show that are novices to the hospitality business, just getting in. Could you explain key money to them, please?
I sure can. So specifically on the key money is the number of doors that you're going to have in a specific hotel. Say if your hotel is 100 rooms and Choice is offering, or some hotel company is offering $1,000 per key. So that $1,000 is then given to you once that hotel is open. They're writing you a check for that money. And that key money is then, put on a specific sort of promissory note. And it's not that you don't owe that key money back, but it burns off at a percentage of maybe 4, 5 to 10 years that money is there. So this is how Choice and other hotel companies actually financially invest in your properties. So we're partnering with you to make sure you have that opportunity to build that hotel. And with the financing environment.
Uh-oh. Did we lose you? I think we may have.
I'm here.
All right, John will be back in. John will be back in a second. But while we wait for him to come back in,
why don't you make that offer to Laura when you have a second?
I know. One of the other things Choice Hotels does. Let me just take off Mike's comment for a second. One of the other things that Choice Hotels does so great is they go out and they find locations, potential properties. So if you're getting involved in the hospitality business for the first time, they can help you find the location, and they can help you, give you all of those tools that you need to be successful within it. All right, now on to what Mike has to say. I appreciate this discussion immensely. Married to a beautiful African-American woman, have 2 incredible children. My kids have the greatest attitude towards diversity and inclusion. We celebrate our differences and laugh at our similarities. We can do anything together. Love that sentiment. All right, so he dropped off. Hopefully he'll come back on in a second, Anthony.
So, yes, I was saying that young lady who keeps giving us all the statistics, Laura.
Yes, I can't seem to find her. Laura, if you're there, we'd love to get you to come on and comment. Just pinged you on LinkedIn. So if you got that, I can give you a link if you want to come on and join us.
Yeah, I'd love to pick her brain and get all the statistics. Apparently, she works in this area of understanding why people are traveling, and love to get her on. So, Laura, get in touch with us. John, welcome back, my friend.
Great now, my friend. Look at that.
We missed you, John.
Yeah,
I know it.
What the hell without you, man. So thank God you're back. All right, so John, you were saying.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and appreciate coming in. And I hope you got everything of what I said in key money. Did that go off?
Yeah, we did.
I just wanted to make sure.
And John, when we meet in person, you and I are going to have a deadlift competition. Okay.
I'm sorry. And
I said when we meet in person, we're going to have a deadlift competition. We're going to see how many Anthonys you can deadlift. Well, here we go again. Here's that video.
Oh wow, I see that video now.
Look at that video. And just so you know, those plates are not made of foam. And there's 2 decks. I don't know if you can see. There's 2 decks.
Jesus, dude. Yeah.
So no, Jesus can't lift that much. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my God.
It's not as much as you can lift with your jack, Anthony.
John, it was a pleasure seeing you. Hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the time, Glenn and Anthony. And again, make sure you keep doing what you're doing. You guys do a phenomenal job in making sure you highlight the hospitality industry. And Anthony, keep working out, and those lifting prowesses will come.
Well, I haven't worked out in a week, so I went into the garage and I was moving. I was doing what I call my old man workout. And then, after I work out, I'll work out 3 days, 3 weeks in a row every day, or 6 days a week. And I feel like I'm back to my form. And then I go lift the weight I used to be able to lift. And I'm like, why does that feel so much heavier than it used to?
It does. That's almost like me when I swim. So I swam in college. I was a D1 swimmer, and I got back into the pool after COVID started because I couldn't go to the gym. And I'm swimming and I'm moving and I'm thinking, oh man, I'm moving fast. I'm getting this done in 22. It's a 50-yard dash in 22 freestyle. I look up at the clock and it says 42. That's cool.
And you see a little old 100-year-old lady pass you.
Exactly.
All right, it was a pleasure, my friend.
That actually happened to me once. I was living in Brooklyn at the time in Prospect Park. And if you go around the loop in Prospect Park, there's this crazy big hill. And we were going up on bicycles and I'm chugging along. And this woman who was 10, 15 years older than me is pushing a shopping cart and going faster than me. It was the saddest moment of my entire life. All right, John, thank you so much. We're going to have you come back on after you have some more good news for us. Or maybe what we could do is bring someone along with you who's a success story, and we could feature that person so we could show all of our listeners and viewers out there that this person can do it. You can do it too. I would love to do that.
Without
right.
question. Happy to
All
do
right. Excellent. Thank you so
John.
much. Take care.
So Mike Mann said, why aren't you playing rugby, Anthony? I played rugby, pickup rugby in the Air Force. And let me tell you something. I'm really fast and I can catch a ball. But once you get caught in that scrum, they beat the living crap out of you. So I don't like I like rugby, but it's more dangerous than football because you get tackled and beat up without equipment.
Yeah, you really do. What I like about rugby is the drinking afterwards. That part I can participate in. Oh my goodness, Anthony, it's Thursday. Are you doing a hospitality success?
No, we're actually hospitality success with Jeremy and myself is postponed until after the holidays.
She's getting married, so I'm surprised.
She's getting married in 15 days. 15 days. So I am openly asking, since she doesn't watch the show, Jeremy, you don't watch my show, you don't watch my movies. That's okay. So I can talk about you. Anybody has any good, interesting wedding gifts for my friend Jeremy, let me know.
Excellent. All right, guys. I really appreciate y'all being here. Remember, if you haven't subscribed to our newsletter, text the word hotel to 66866. It's just that simple. You get a full digest of all of these shows that are going on, as well as other news that's in there. For example, today we put up on novacancynews.com that Sonesta has completed the transaction that netted them 102 properties at once. If you want to hear their CEO, Carlos, talk about that, we had him on about 5-6 weeks ago or so. So go check out that show in our catalog, and you can find that at novacancynews.com and, of course, on YouTube and on our respective profiles on social media. Anthony, any final thoughts before we officially wrap this up today?
No, sir. We have a special. Don't we have a special podcast tomorrow?
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me to pitch that. Roger Dow, President and CEO of the U.S. Travel Association, is going to be joining us for a very important show about what is going on. We're going to be focused on the government, what hotels can be doing to create more business, and how we can all rally together in order to make sure that our industry is successful going into 20.
Wait. We have a government? I thought they abandoned us. Are they still the government?
I forgot. I was living in fantasy land there for a second. I thought that it was a government for the people. Yeah, Dave.
We are talking government tomorrow. We're actually going to be talking to someone who should be in government, Mr. Mike Stengel.
That's next week. Stengel's on tomorrow. I'm so sorry.
Thank you, David. I was like, what the hell is he talking about?
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm having such an off week this week. You don't even know. When I'm not on the air, I'm like.
But why is there having? When do you have an on week? No, I'm just kidding. So Mike Stengel, who is a Marriott legend, will be on our podcast tomorrow. We're doing a special podcast to honor Mike because he is an amazing leader at Marriott.
I think Roger Dow's coming on in a couple of weeks. Dave, you'll correct me. Dave is the master at all of this. I've become super lazy with understanding all this because Dave is so good at what he's doing that it's allowed me to not pay as close attention as I can. Stengel is freaking awesome. We've had him on a couple of times. You're going to love talking with him. He's one of the top people at Marriott. It's going to be a very special show. Very special show with some surprises in there, so be sure to tune in.
So Glenn, when you make mistakes like that, we all make mistakes. When you make mistakes like that, you are a champion for mediocrity, and I just want to thank you for that.
Hey, somebody's going to be average, so people like you can feel good about themselves.
That's true.
Right? All right, everybody.
All right, bro, take us out.
All right, thank you so much for being here. And remember, you've got one life, so blaze on. And
Colleen, you can watch it on repeat, so you won't be missing too much. I love you, Colleen, and I hope you're safe and healthy. And remember, everyone, take care of yourself.
All right, guys, we love all of you. Thanks so much. See you next week.